We're just going to have to take a second to get the... Oh, do you have a question or comment?
Not a question, but forgive me, I noticed that Jay's running her first plenary and she's ahead of time, so I'm going to try and spoil that. No, what I wanted to do was just make a comment. I'm Eldon Horner, and for those of you who've been here before, I'm the past chair of FOLA. On my way out, I wanted to thank Meredith for all her efforts on behalf of the solicitors. I wanted to say two things. One, to all of you litigators in the room, and I know there are lots of people here who are litigators and don't know anything about what she just said, please pass that information on to your solicitors in your area, to your real estate rep, so we can get the word out. Meredith has done just a wonderful job on behalf of this organization, and I want to share two little anecdotes with all of you to give you a sense of what she's done. Jeffrey Lem, who, if you are a solicitor, you'll know he's the director of titles. He is God, he'll tell you that. In real estate in Ontario, last year there was a move put forward by the OBA to have a meeting, a sit-down face-to-face meeting with Jeffrey Lem to try and discuss some of the issues of interest to those of us who are solicitors. And Jeff's response was, that's a great idea, but we will only have the meeting if FOLA is at the meeting, which was great. And the OBA was fine with that, and we had a good sit-down, and we'll do it again. Second, Meredith mentioned the Law Society didn't really listen to us on advertising and real estate fees. But I can tell you, it was reported to me that at convocation, one of the benchers stood up and told his colleagues that FOLA had by far the best real estate committee in the province. That was where the expertise was, and they should listen to FOLA. They didn't. But I just want you to know that because of Meredith and her tireless efforts, this organization and solicitors are getting some attention, and at least we've got a voice, and it's being heard, and it's slow going, as Meredith indicated, a year and a half to get a document everybody agrees is a good thing approved, is how the Law Society, of whatever it is now, operates. But she deserves a lot of credit, and I just wanted to pass that on. And again, plead with those of you who are litigators, please pass the stuff on to your real estate people and your associations.
Thanks, Eldon. I'm now going to call up Sonia Jane, who's going to give us the update from the Family Committee.
Thank you. So, as you know, I'm the Family Law Chair Committee, or sorry, the Family Law Chair of the, oh my goodness, I'm the Chair of the Family Law Committee, and I have been since 2015. I'm going to briefly just summarize some of the 5 main issues that I've been involved in for the last couple of years. And in addition to these 5, I just wanted to comment that the FOLA exec has been working very hard at opening up lines of communication and working collaboratively with other legal stakeholders. And I can say that information is flowing much more rapidly and smoothly between us and these other stakeholders, and that we are, in addition to that, we have been reached out to by the courts to assist in disseminating information like practice directions and rule changes. And we're increasingly becoming sought out by the courts or the Law Society or MAG to provide input or submissions from the practicing lawyers in Ontario on family law issues. And we have devoted a significant amount of time to our submissions and responses on these issues, these 5 specifically. So the first is the that I wish to speak about is the Rule 24 costs consultation. The Family Law Rules Committee asked for our input regarding creating a new cost regime under Rule 24 that would include a cost grid or tariff or a no fee shifting model at all. And this consultation was based on some pretty significant assumptions. The Rules Committee was assuming that our current rules are confusing and conflicting, that grids would increase the likelihood of settlement and reduce costs of litigation about costs, and that grids would provide predictability and make it easier for counsel to advise clients about the risks of litigation. FOLA, in our submission, challenged these assumptions and answered their consultation questions. And basically, in brief, we advocated that there would be no need for a new regime, that setting a cost grid was a line drawing exercise, would not reduce costs of litigation or promote principled settlements or provide predictability at all. We advocated that there would be no presumptive scale of costs in family matters because they are too complicated and case-specific, and we did not support the no fee shifting model at all because we felt that that would invite unreasonable behaviors and negate the consequences and purposes of offers to settle. And so our full submission is available on the FOLA website, and I'd encourage you to read that when you have a chance. The second issue that I wish to talk to you about is the expansion of the Unified Family Court. In January of 2017, FOLA was requested to provide a letter of support, and we did so. And in that letter of support for the expansion of the Unified Family Court, we stressed also the importance of not only the expansion, but also the importance of providing adequate resources at every location. Chief Justice Heather Smith responded in March 1st of 2017, and in her response, she thanked FOLA for our continued work to improve family justice services, and advised that Ontario's proposal to support immediate expansion of the Unified Family Court to 8 additional Superior Court of Justice locations would be finalized imminently. I don't know what that means really in government talk, but it will also highlight the need for adequate judicial resources. Shortly after that, the Federal Minister of Justice and the Ontario Attorney General announced in March that there was a movement towards a plan to expand the UFC across the province of Ontario. And my message to you is actually directly from Justice Zutrin, our senior family judge, that FOLA, we will continue to do our part and to support family law, and the family court is just as important as any other area of law. But we need to encourage each of you and members of your executive and associations to speak to your local MPs and MPPs about supporting the expansion of the Unified Family Court throughout all of Ontario. This is a window of opportunity, and we must continue the momentum and the pressure, because it will not mean anything unless we all continue that dialogue and that support with the people who can actually do something about this. There was actually, for the first time in 18 years, an increase in the family court complement just recently, and a new position was created in Newmarket. And so the momentum is continuing, and I really encourage you to get out there and talk to your MPPs and MPs. The next issue that I wish to talk to you about is about the Catelyn Sampson recommendations. In June of 2016, a jury made over 170 recommendations to MAG following a coroner's inquest into the tragic death of a young child named Catelyn Sampson. And in those recommendations, it included a principle called Catelyn's Principle. And I'm just going to briefly read to you what that is. That in Catelyn's Principle, the child must be at the center, where they are subject to or receiving services through a child welfare, justice, or education system. A child is an individual with rights who must always be seen, and whose voice must be heard, and who must be listened to and respected. And everyone who provides services to children or services that affect children are child advocates. Advocacy may potentially be a child's lifeline, and it must occur from the point of first contact and on a continual basis thereafter. This issue came very close to my heart because I've been a children's lawyer for a very long time, and I've seen children like Catelyn who are very vulnerable. So in June 2017, MAG requested feedback from FOLA regarding some specific recommendations that propose changes to legislation and procedures, and to basically increase children's participation in custody and access litigation and ensure that their views and preferences were taken into account. FOLA made detailed submissions to MAG in August, and that also is available on the FOLA website if you wish to read it in full. One of the more exciting topics that I wish to talk to you about today is the Unbundled Legal Services Project. A steering committee has been struck by the Superior Court of Justice and other legal stakeholders, including FOLA, to develop a roster, a province-wide roster, to increase the number of family lawyers who are providing these types of services in family law, and that to develop best practices and training, provide coaching and other newer modes of practice, and make it easier for members of the public to find family lawyers who are ready, willing, and able to provide the unbundled legal services that they're seeking. A Law Foundation application to fund the development of this project is underway, and as well, FOLA wrote a letter of support and is committed to assisting in the development and supporting this project in any way that we can. More excited for myself is that I have been heavily involved in this, and I am on the committee, and we are looking at proposing a pilot project in Barrie where I will be able to continue my work on that. Thank you. The last issue that I wish to talk to you about is the FOLA response to Justice Bancalo's Family Legal Services Review. Of all the issues that I have talked to you about, they're all important. However, this one has been the most intense and time-consuming issue that I've been involved in. I have to literally say for the last 2 years, this one made me laugh, cry, and became a part of me. I presented on this topic in detail last year, so I don't have any time to repeat all of those, all of the recommendations or our submission. However, the two most controversial recommendations that she made regarding the Law Society creating a specialized license for paralegals to provide specified legal services in family law, and that paralegals should be licensed in family law and should be permitted to provide legal services and represent clients in court. We made significant submissions, and we also made significant responses to those submissions, and those were in direct consultation with all of you. That your response was basically, when we surveyed the membership, that that the majority, over 80%, did not agree that paralegals should be providing services without lawyer supervision. And we also, FOLA also made a response from the Paralegal Standing Committee as well. And our strategy basically from here is, I just encourage you to read our submissions and our responses, and to very importantly encourage all of you to speak out to your benchers and MPP and remain positive, remain focused that the interests of the family law litigant must be paramount. At this point right now, sorry, I went back. At this point right now, we have no update. Everything is in front of the Law Society right now. The Access to Justice Committee is reviewing their submissions from all the stakeholders, and we haven't received any kind of update about what direction they're going to take, and we're hoping that maybe no news is good news at this point. But presumably, if this report from the Access to Justice Committee decides to expand the scope of practice, it will lay out a pathway and a plan to achieve that, including some high education requirements, testing, and licensing, and that pathway will likely take a number of years to complete before the first paralegals would be licensed, but at this point right now we don't know whether that is the exact direction they'll be taking. On a final note, I just wish to take this opportunity to advise all of you that I have recently been appointed to the Consent and Capacity Board, and so this will be my last plenary. I've had to, I will be resigning from this position in December. The executive is actively searching for my replacement, and I will do my best to help them transition into this position. I have loved every minute of my time on the FOLA executive, and I'm very grateful to have been a part of such a hardworking and dynamic and passionate group of people. And thank you very much.